It's Saturday, April 8th, 2017. This is a continuation of the footage that we covered yesterday at the flooding on the Elm Street area of the village and town of Champlain. And we're looking at an 1856 map. And we're going to point to the little squiggly line here that we see that indicates a little body of water, a brook or creek, if you will. And here's where it crosses Elm Street. This is in 1856. And this is where it crosses East Street and goes into the Great Chazy River. At that point in time, there was no road continuing through here. The road now comes somewhere in this area and ties up through here. So here's that area where the flooding is. And as you can see from this 1856 view, there has long been a creek there, and it crosses the Prospect Hill Road and carries on up to the Gamlaw Road area. If you're searching for this on your own, you can go type in Gamlaw, G-A-M-L-A-W Road in Champlain. Type that in Google, and once you do that and click on it, it'll give you some options, one of which will be a map, which will show this in blue, the little creek, and another would be the Earth view, the Google Earth view, which would actually show you the tree lines and other stuff involved in all this. So we're going to leave this map and head back to the flooding area on Elm Street in Champlain.
About 4 p.m. We're outside in the wind, so we're going to have to talk a little loud again. One of the things we noticed when we were leaving yesterday is a little sinkhole we had right here. And we noticed that there could be some of this that has been undermined here along the roadway, and that's something that will have to be addressed after this particular flooding is over with. There'll be more to be concerned about. We're getting a lot of wind. We're going to go inside and read a letter we received via email yesterday. It's from somebody who used to live in the area. It says, I guess nobody seems to know is that there's actually a fair-sized and permanent brook flowing through that gully. The stream originates in the area of the Gamlaw Road a couple of miles northeast in a large swampy area near the border. I explored those brushy areas in the gully and found the stream flowing next to the property. So to partially bring back nature to me and the kids, I went to work in the ravine, removing poison ivy, cutting brush, removing trash, and made a beautiful narrow hiking trail that paralleled the winding brook. We used it for years. There were many animals that visited the ravine, a nesting site of hundreds of garter snakes, frogs, and other aquatic wildlife. And best of all for me, fish were spawning in the brook, mostly suckers, chubs, and minnows, having made their way upstream from the Great Chazy River down by the bridge. In some places, the brook was more than 6 feet across, and it ranged anywhere from shallow to 1.5 feet deep. As you can imagine, in the spring, with the snow melt and rain, it was a raging little torrent several feet deep. It never went dry and maintained decent flow through the summer and fall. If you view that general area in Google Maps, in a map view, not Earth view, you can clearly see the blue line of water flowing from the Chazy River all the way to the Gamlaw Road. It might originate on or at least collected from water on the Canadian side as well. That's the end of the letter, but as I said earlier, we went from Google Maps to Google Earth, back and forth, and trying to overlap where I saw the map line with the earth line, and you can clearly see where the brook comes through. And if we turn our car here a little bit, you can see this runs parallel right here. You can see that the gully runs here in back of the home that's here and in back of the Champlain Federal Credit Union. And it crosses over on Paquette Drive. We're going to go to Paquette Drive now. We are on Paquette Drive. We're looking toward Route 11 right there. And there's a curve and a little bridge. And here's what this little creek looks like. This is something that I was never really aware of until now, that there was actually running water here going through that gully. Well, it's not a large amount of water, but still, when it keeps flowing through and has nowhere to go, it becomes a problem. Here's the other side of that ravine. You can see they put in 2 big culverts to handle the flow. And on up the stream it goes, zigzagging behind into the west, northeastern Clinton, crossing onto the Gamlaw Road. Pick this up probably on Prospect Street and Prospect Hill Road and we went north a few hundred feet on Paquette Drive and found another open area with a view, and we can see how that water trickles through here and zigzags, but it is a steady flow. It's flowing quite steady. Not sure what's happening there. This is to the west of northeastern Clinton. We're now at approximately 494 Prospect Hill Road. This is how the water looks coming from the north. The water would be flowing through at that sharper rate, but it's coming down not only from this brook that goes on passing the Gamlaw Road, it also picks up the runoff from upper Prospect Hill, crosses into this culvert and heads out toward the flooded area. So this is how it looks. And the actual brook part, I'm not sure this brook ever had a name, but it's getting a bad name right now. And I guess I was wrong. Here's that main tributary. This is still on the Prospect Hill Road. Here's that main tributary that's coming down. The site I was looking at up there was a minor one. That's where we were looking initially. But here's the main mountain. You can see it's really a lot of water flowing through here. We're around 478 Prospect Hill Road. We're trying to talk loud because of the wind. As you can see, as far as you can see, there is water flowing through here, coming through at a good clip. And that's heading out. There's the main amount of the water that's heading through. What we saw before was just a small, another little tributary that was tying up. But here's the main one. As you can see, there's a real steady flow here. You can really understand why. Flooding problem. Water is flowing very fast. There's northeastern Clinton Central School. Across the Prospect Hill Road, the place that's growing all the grapes now, the new grape growing area, future winery. We're maybe 1,000 feet from the Prospect Hill Road. And this is the last place where we'll see the water crossing. But once again, it's a steady flow here, 2 large culverts. And this is heading out toward, eventually to that Elm Street area. It comes at a diagonal area across the Gamlaw Road. And from what we saw on maps, it continues to zigzag its way through and originates in a swampy area between here and Route 276, and part of it appears to even come right directly from the Canadian border area. In addition to what's coming through from that brook area, there's also the runoff in the ditch, and you can see the ditches are very well filled here, and they are adding to that water that's coming out of the culvert and heading southwest. Now on the Route 276, and what we saw on maps, behind this farmland in that area is a swampy area, and it seemed that part of the brook that is flooding originates back there, and another part of it, we're this close to the Canadian border. You can see the Canadian flag flying in the distance. Those familiar with the area know that right there, and as soon as you cross the border, there's a quarry, and just adjacent to the quarry is a golf course, and there seems to be, according to the map again, water originating from that area right to the eastern part of the golf course and just a little bit west of the quarry. So here is the view on Route 276, and a swampy area in the back seems to be a big source of where that water originates from, along with all the other runoff from the higher elevations there. Back now to the flooded area. You can see, if you watched yesterday, this is a lot different than what it was yesterday. There's no longer water flowing up here and impacting the Daly home of Maryland Daly. But the water is still high here. That pump still needs to be operating 24/7. And my guess is there'll be several more days, barring any more rain, at least several more days before this water goes down enough to get rid of that pump. So this road will be closed here on Elm Street for the nearby foreseeable future here on this April 8th, 2017. So a lot more water comes through here than the average person ever thought there was. Those of the folks who lived along the brook and lived in this area are probably aware of it, so maybe it's kind of surprising that permission was ever granted to fill in this ravine. And whatever is blocking that, if it's a beaver dam or whatever other debris down below, has got to be removed. Again, the culvert that crosses underneath the road here is what's blocked underneath and preventing the water from crossing and heading out toward Route 11 and the Great Chazy River. So this is probably a lot more than what most people wanted to see and learn about this, but those of you who stuck with it, thanks for watching and supporting Hometown Cable.